It's an Off the Rails Friday, and I am really, really lucky today to have a couple of folks with me that I've been trying to hook up with for quite a while. First of all, Jim Weber, who I think, I don't know, has it been like 8 years now, Jim, that I've been trying to corral you?
Pretty close to that, yeah. Not quite 8 years, but who's counting?
Well, you know, ever since I started, so it's been a couple of years now, because we got started with this music segment on Off the Rails Friday. A couple of years ago, and I've been trying to bring Jim Weber in because I've seen him play. I've heard a lot of good things about him. Our buddy Max talks about him a lot, Max Knopfziger, an Austin fella. And so eventually it all worked out, and I was able to bring Jim to the table, so to speak. How's that?
That's good.
And with Jim, he also brings Erica Schwarz.
Erica Schwarz, yep.
And Jim, why don't you tell me a little bit about Erica?
Erica is a singer, and she started out with me about 2.5 years ago, close to 3 years ago. In the progression of me going through the club circuit, I choose musicians and I lose musicians for all kinds of reasons, and she happened to step in when I was looking for a partner, someone to do a duo with, and so we built kind of a little base from that, and so it's been 2.5 years, going on 3 years now. So she's primed and ready to go now.
So tell me about Erica Schwarz. Where you from, Erica?
I'm from around Steuben County area.
Okay.
Mostly Angola.
And we're on a monstrous lake over here right now.
Yes.
Yeah. Tucked away from nowhere, and we're not going to give the secret location because we don't really want anybody else to know where we are at this point in time, okay? Just in case 3 are too many to do a show like this one today. How's that?
Yes.
We call these the COVID concerts, Jim. How's that?
I like that. Can I use that?
You're more than welcome to use that. You are, yeah. Eric, when did you get into music? When did it all start for you?
You know, I sang as a girl, and I sang for a few years between 18 and 22, and then I didn't sing for a good 20 years, and then I met Jim and his former bass player, and first I'd really been around music, and they were gracious enough to let me hop up and sing with them periodically, and when his bass player stepped away, I stepped in to try to learn harmonies and all kinds of things that I wasn't accustomed to doing. So I've sung all my life, but not really publicly in quite a long time until I was with Jim.
And what was it about Jim that got you to come out of the shell there and go back into the public domain?
Well, he did all the songs that I loved. He does the 60s and 70s, the classic rock, and those were things that I grew up listening to because of my dad, and just love that sort of music. And
Yeah, if I can interject, I can still remember one of the nights I was playing with one of my partners, and by the way, his name was Josh Ayers, and he was the bass player, and we had worked for several years before that. So we're playing one night, and we hear these vocals in a booth, and we're singing and we're trying to do our songs, and I remember the fact that you were singing along, and I think we had ended up having a conversation, and she knew the words to songs from the 60s, which I thought was very strange because they're old songs, but she's an old soul, and she knows music from back, and even probably more than what I know sometimes. So that's how that all occurred. We heard these noises in the booth, and then she approached us, and then I think I said, yeah, maybe I could let you sing. And I said, I don't know about that. And then I'll let you finish up with how you invited me.
Well, I was asked to sing at our local beautiful theater, the T-First Center, which is affiliated with Trine University, and was scared to death because I haven't been on a stage in a good many years. And I asked Jim, and we didn't really know each other, and he was hesitant to agree, but he did agree, and so through that he helped me work through stage fright, which I've struggled with most of my life, and that was in July, and so by September was when I ended up joining him. So it was just one of those things, I guess, that was meant to be.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I didn't know what I was signing up for.
Yeah. And now, almost 3 years later?
Yeah.
Yes. Now it used to be Jim Weber, and then it became Jim Weber and Erica, and now it's Erica with,
No, it's
with the
not.
guy named Jim.
But it is a nice feeling that people can say Jim and Erica, that enough people have come to see us and know us
Yeah,
as Jim and
yeah.
Erica, and that's a nice feeling.
Yeah, it is. I bet it is.
It's great, and they've been so nice to us. All the places around here, and can I give them a shameless plug?
Oh, please
Yeah.
do.
You
Yes.
know, like we do about 150 dates a year is what we had done, and when she stepped in cold, no gigs, zero, to filling in shoes from my other partner, and so I had to translate to 150 working days
Wow.
a year, and so these clubs around here kind of embraced us and took us in, and as we struggled at times, we had some good moments and some bad moments, and so I need to recognize all these places that are around here. Some of them are in Ohio, and I want to say I need to have my cheat sheet because I don't want to leave anybody out. But
No doubt. We don't want to leave anybody out.
yeah, but we're going to, and I'll have to ask forgiveness now. So the Hangout, which is right over here in Snow Lake, that was a place that's had me there for 12, 13 years, I'm guessing. I played on Friday nights there. So there, it's just been one of the most incredible places. It was Dave's Lake Shack, and now it's the Hangout, and
Okay.
they've had me there ever since. And then Club Paradise, they took me in with Erica when we were looking for other places, and we've been playing there. Before that, I had played at Jimmy's on James for 10 or 11 years every single Tuesday. So I want to give Club P, Hangout, and Club Paradise, Six Autumns, Stony Ridge Winery, you know those guys,
You bet. Yes.
Cora Brewhouse,
Yes.
and Mulligan's here in at the golf course here in Angola. So if I left anybody out, we'll get you the next time, I promise.
You just said you did 150 shows a year.
A year.
That is 3 a week.
Yes. Sometimes 6 a week.
Where we've heard several clubs that play music several different times, but you're not getting 150 shows a year with just those 4 or 5 hangouts, were you?
No, actually, we were doing a lot of private parties.
Sure.
Events. So when you take all that in, I post my schedule on my website. So anybody can go in and say Jim Weber Acoustic and look at upcoming gigs, and you can see all the places. And so it could be event centers, it could be a private party, it could be all the clubs. And there are more clubs than I mentioned. JT's in Coldwater.
Okay. All right.
Where else did we go?
We played at Monument Pizza.
Monument Pizza, Mad Anthony's in Angola, Mad Anthony's in Auburn, and we're so when you add all those up with private
Wow.
parties, it's when she first came into this scenario, I think I was doing in the middle of the summer I was doing 5 a week, and a couple times I did 6 a week, which means I would double up in an afternoon. I'd do one in the afternoon and one in the evening. And that's how you get that many in your schedule.
That is
Some
amazing.
festivals and things.
Yeah, festivals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a difficult life. Most people don't understand how much work goes into performing. Everybody says, "Oh, what a great life! That'd be easy, you know?
Yeah.
I'd love to be able to do that."
Yes, that's true, and it takes a toll. So there is.
Sure.
There's a balance you have to have between giving up some of your personal life and balancing friends, family. You don't want to lose any of those.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of find a way to give them all time.
Jim and Erica, my guests right now on the Off the Rails Friday version of the Q 96.5 FM here today, and we're really fortunate to have them today. Jim, I want to go back a little ways because this isn't the first time. This isn't your first rodeo. You've been doing this for a little while. For the folks who don't know you, let's go back a ways. Where did it all start for Jim Weber?
Oh, okay. How far back you want to go?
Let's go back to, because you're somewhat of a local Northwest Ohio guy, if
Yeah.
I remember right.
I started out. My mom would play music when I was a kid, so we're looking at my preteens and teens, and so I heard the Beatles on TV. I remember the night when my brothers yelled at me upstairs and they said, "Come down, you have to see this. These guys are crazy. They have long hair." And of course, their hair was no longer than mine is, I guess, back then. But I saw that and I thought, wow, this is incredible. So for those of you who don't know, this is not my instrument. My instrument are the drums. And so I started out as a drummer. back in the 60s. So I would say 66, 67 is when I started playing. And then I started playing in clubs in 1968. So that was my start of playing in clubs. So I've been doing that not on a regular basis, but most of my life. And so I started out here in Wasion, like a garage band, like most guys do. And then we traveled around what we thought was traveling. It was across the state line, a little
Sure.
bit, Michigan.
Sure.
And then I met a lot of cool guys from Bryan, who were, in my opinion, they were a step ahead of where I was, a step ahead of the guys that we were playing with. I remember coming to Bryan, Ohio, and seeing Bob Hartman, Dave Showalter, Davey Farrell, Mike Jane, and then I believe the drummer was somebody named Ron Roos, or Kent Creeters.
Yeah.
So I was impressed that just across the county line was the band who was better than us, and at the time we thought nobody was better than us. How can that be? So I ended up meeting these guys and learning some of the things that they were already experiencing, and that's how we blended together through Wasion, Bryan, Delta, and all the areas. And I ended up eventually meeting some Bryan guys later on in my career, which would have been Davey Farrell and Paul Schmidt. And we ended up having a band. So we were Tweed. I took over from the old Dove guys and the Tweed Morton guys and became a member of their band. And as a matter of fact, I think you can see, I don't know if you can see that, but there's Davey Farrell right there at the top.
I'll be darned. We're going to capture some of those pictures there to throw in as B-roll
Sure.
as we go, because this is the first year they haven't had the Davey Farrell concert.
Yes.
And I think it had been called off before all the COVID and all happened. But it would not have been able to happen anyway because of all the pandemic that we went through.
That's true.
But I knew Davey not well, but I knew enough of Davey, and I knew enough people who know Davey who still miss him to this day.
Oh yeah, yeah. Davey was one of the guys that just helped everybody. He was just pretty joyful, and if you needed a bass player, and he would do anything for you. So, and that's kind of how Davey was with everybody that I know. They all speak highly of him, and I do too.
Yeah, no doubt. So where did it go from there? You met the Bryan guys. You're still a relatively young guy, right? Because you would have been 68. You would have been just in high school still at that point in time. So then you get into the 70s, and you're just a young fella that's gone across the border and met all these Bryanites.
Yes, and so when I met the Bryanites, they were really cool. I mean, we ended up having a house. It was they had a house in Bryan, strictly for the band, and we all lived together in the house.
Yeah.
It's the perfect band scenario. You all got to have a house. And so we played a lot of gigs, and that would have been with David Showalter, who's one of your local David Design.
Yes.
He used to be a rock and roll singer, David. I'm telling you, I'll tell on you right now. So when we were struggling at some point, we had an offer from an agent out of Michigan, and a band that was just starting up that was my old band. It was called Scatter.
Okay.
And from Wasion, and that was the band I left to come to Bryan with. So I met Paul Schmidt and Davey Farrell and Dave Showalter, and we made it. We got an offer to do a concert tour with Ted Nugent and Cactus out of Detroit.
Okay.
And so after a gig one night in Bryan, I approached Paul and told him that we were asked, not the band, just us two, asked to become members of this band, and it was a tough situation because we were working with a good band, and they needed a drummer and they needed a guitar player that could work on a concert stage, and so that was our chance to do something. So, and Paul came with me, and so we ended up doing a short little tour with Ted Nugent and Amboy Dukes and the Cactus Band, and so it was a great experience. We crashed and burned after all that and went back to our little hometowns and our local bands. So that's where I decided to keep going. I decided that I loved that, and I wanted to make a career out of it, so I ended up going down to Texas. And that was a whole nother...
And you end up in Austin, Texas, then when?
Yes. In the early 80s.
Okay.
I can't...
Yeah,
pinpoint the
I
exact-
understand those days. We
Yeah.
both lived through that same situation, so those days are fuzzy now. I understand how that works. Okay.
Yes, yeah. So I was very fortunate. I went down there. I got a record deal. That was under the pretense when I first went down. I was asked to come down again to become a member of a band that was going to seal a record deal, and they got a record deal. And we worked for a few weeks, and the record deal fell apart because of disagreements amongst the writer and giving up royalties or publishing. I'm not quite sure. So I was stranded in Texas, and I decided to stay and make a career out of music if I could. So it just, once again, I beat myself up and went out there and got a job, an actual job, and worked. And then in the meantime of working a regular job, I tried to get studio work. So I would go in and do whatever I could. I remember getting hired for $40, which was great for me. They wanted me to clap my hands because I was a drummer, and they said, if you can just clap your hands, keep time, we're going to record this song, and we needed somebody that can clap. And it was $40. It was my first studio gig, and I thought that was great. I want to do this forever. And so in that process, I met a gentleman who was a native Austinite, and you can see our record up there. His name was Calvin Russell, and we both met in a studio. I had talked to him briefly in the lobby. I listened to his music, and I just made a comment. I said that you're really great, and I think your band, which was a New York-based band, I said, I think you sounded better without your band. I think you should just do like a solo thing.
Sure.
And then we parted ways, and 2 or 3 weeks later, I got a call from him and said, I liked what you said, and I want to put a band together. I want you to be the drummer. And I hooked up with Kelvin, and we played together for probably 4 years, doing all original music. We played everywhere, and that was one of the first times that we had just accomplished playing all originals and getting gigs and never worrying about doing cover songs. And it was amazing to me. That was a turning point in my life at that point.
And this is back in the 80s still, Jim?
This was still in the 80s.
Yeah, yeah.
So when we made that record, that was like 86, I believe, 84 or 86.
Okay.
I'm not sure. And then of course, I, like all musicians, we all want to play with wherever we can get work. And so I started playing with other members, other bands, and I was fortunate enough to audition for a rock band that was looking for a drummer for another record deal. And that would have been a band called The Motive. And so we had some really good members in that band. And one of them was a guy named Bobby Keys, who was a saxophone player for the Rolling Stones.
Sure.
And I was just starstruck and blown away that I would get asked to do that. And so we did, and then we recorded a full album, and then my life took a turn. I went away for a while, took a sabbatical, I guess is the polite way to say that,
Okay, all right.
for about 11 years. But my friends kind of stayed in touch. And so when I got out from the sabbatical, I decided to settle down. And in that process, I needed something that would, translate my music, because I just didn't see myself playing drums in a band anymore. And so that's where the guitar came in,
I'll be darned.
out of nowhere. And so I started to sing and write songs. And
Wow. What was it like living in Austin? Because was that your base during the 80s at all, Austin, Texas?
oh yeah, it was a great time in the 80s and before that. When my buddy Max Knopfinger moved down, he had moved down earlier.
Mm-hmm.
So he had already accomplished a lot down in Austin. I mean, Max was he was involved in the community, involved in politics. So when I got down there, all I knew was, like, I see these signs that says Max for mayor. At that time, Austin was a city of about 400,000 people, I believe, and so that was a huge change from Brian Wasion to a population like that. So Max was already deep in the community of Austin, trying to keep it clean, trying to keep it natural, and things like that. So.
keep Austin weird, I believe, is the
Yeah,
is
that
the,
was
is the term that was always used, and I think Max would like to do that still. You
Yes,
know,
yes.
I just talked to Max yesterday.
Oh, what
So
great.
what a great guy! I love Max. There's
Yeah.
no doubt. So you knew Max before you left. You guys met as young kids around the Archbold Wasion area, or not?
As teenagers, yes.
Wow.
I didn't know him as a young kid. We met, I think we were in our teens, and really briefly up here in Ohio. I really didn't get to know him as well as I did down in Texas. And then as we were down there, we did the band that I talked about with the Motive with Bobby Keys. We did some political benefits for him,
I'll be
trying to raise money for his mayoral candidate. So
That is amazing. All right, we've talked enough for this segment. How's that? I need to pay some bills here in a couple of minutes, so I need the first song of the day.
Oh, okay.
All right. I have Jim and Erica with me right now, and I'm going to turn it over to them because you don't turn the cue in on Off the Rails Friday just to listen to me. We get a little background, we'll get a little more information as we go, but you're here for the music. Jim and Erica.
Thank you. This is one of my compositions from about 2012 or 2013. There's a lock on my heart. It says please go away. I stop and take a look around. There's got to be a better way. Day by day, it's the same old thing. Sometimes I just can't understand what it is that makes me think I've got to be a better man. But sometimes I feel, sometimes I feel, sometimes I feel lost without you. Lost without you. I say to you, and you say to me, we go round and round. I know I'm right, and I know I'm wrong. I know the answer can be found. And day by day, it's the same old thing. I can't understand. I hang my head and I say a prayer. And I cry out your name. Oh, but sometimes I feel, sometimes I feel, sometimes I feel so lost without you. So lost without you. Lost without you. Yeah, I remember when I was, I remember this when I was probably, I'm gonna say 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. My mom told me one time, she said, every time the Everly Brothers come on the radio, I would start bopping.
Oh wow.
And
Okay.
so I've loved the Everly Brothers. And, when just has been a few weeks ago, Erica suggested we do an Everly Brothers, and I think you picked a good one. It's called Bye Bye Love. Bye bye love, bye bye happiness, hello loneliness, think I'm gonna cry. Bye bye love, bye bye sweet caress, hello emptiness, I feel like I could die. Bye bye my love, goodbye. There goes my baby with someone new. She sure looks happy, I sure am blue. She was my baby till he stepped in. Goodbye to romance, that might have been. Bye bye love, bye bye happiness, hello loneliness, think I'm gonna cry. Bye bye love, bye bye sweet caress, hello emptiness, I feel like I could die. Bye bye my love, goodbye. I'm through with romance, I'm through with love, I'm through with counting the stars above. And here's the reason that I'm so free. My loving baby is through with me. Bye bye love, bye bye happiness, hello loneliness, think I'm gonna cry. Bye bye love, bye bye sweet caress, hello emptiness, I feel like I could die. Bye my love, goodbye. Bye my love, goodbye. Bye my love, goodbye. Yeah. We're glad to do the Everly Brothers. That's a good one. So let's go back to one of my songs, okay? I wrote this song really sitting right here in the basement, looking out at the lake. I wanted something kind of lakey. Is that a word?
Now,
When you hear the steel drums. Nice. I just want to be with you, no matter what you do. Kicking back the whole day through. I just want to be with you, I do. If I could see your eyes, I could make it clear. I wouldn't have to try, I'd just hold you near. If I could feel your heart, and I would surely know that the sweetest things in life, I'd just take it slow. Good times on a happy day makes me wanna get away. Sunshine will make me sing. Can't think of a better thing. No, no. Take my hand, let's sail away. Save it all for another day. Don't listen to a word they say. I just gotta get away. I just wanna be with you, no matter what you do. Kicking back the whole day through. I just wanna be with you. I do. I do. I do. I just want to be with you. That's called I Want to Make You Mine, off my CD. Here's one right there. That's that record right here. We're going to do that one. It's called Born Behind the Eight Ball. It was recorded down in Austin, Texas at Parrot Track Studio with my guitar buddy named George Coyne with Calvin Russell singing. So here it is. Born behind the eight ball, headed for short ball. I can't seem to care at all for nothing. The wrong side of the railroad track, always someone on my back, and I'm always on the old blacklist for something. I'm trying to live my life, it makes me wild and mean. When I find that there ain't no use in these things that I see, I'm living for living, that's all I understand. Don't you fall for me, honey, yeah, 'cause I'm an outlaw man, yeah. It looks like I was born to lose everything but these lonesome blues. Everybody gonna pay some dues of some kind. I paid more than my share, but no one said that life was fair. Hard to find a soul who cares sometimes. I'm trying to live my life, it makes me wild and mean. When I find that there ain't no use, these things that I see, living for living, all I understand. Don't you fall for me, honey, yeah. I'm an outlaw, 'cause I'm an outlaw man, yeah. I'm an outlaw. Born Behind the Eight Ball. That's my outlaw song. And then, should we do another one off my CD? Tell you a little story about this song. I was in a club one night playing, looking out at the people, and I noticed just a lot of characters in there. So I thought this would be a good thing to write a song about. It's called Cool Pretend. When the sun goes down and the night comes up, I keep watching through the night. People walking, people talking, pretending everything's alright. trying to find. He's got a picture of a girl in the locker. He's trying to leave it all behind. And he's a real cool pretender. She was no good for his heart. And just how much can he stay before it tears him apart? You know he'll laugh and sing, and his heart in pain. Sometimes you're running cold and hot, and it makes me wonder, what's a man to do when he feels like he's going under? He's a real cool pretender. He was no good for her heart. You know just how much can she stay before it tears her apart? You know she'll laugh and sing when his heart's in pain. Oh yeah. He's a real cool pretender. She was no good for his heart. And just how much can he stay before it tears him apart? You know he'll laugh and sing when his heart's in pain. Yeah. Cool pretender. Be happy to. I'm gonna use one of my newer songs. This one's written, and I think it's kind of appropriate for this time right now. It's called "The Way of the World," and hopefully you'll listen to the words. You run away from everything, and all you do is in vain. Everything you see before your eyes was never meant to last always. And have we gone too far to run and hide? Can we make a change? Can we turn the tide? And that's the way of the world. It keeps on turning. That's the way of the world. We keep learning. And how can it be that it's no surprise up living day to day. I don't know any compromise. You can do all things in all ways, but have we gone too far with our foolish pride? No place left. We must stand aside. That's the way of the world. It keeps on turning. That's the way of the world. We keep learning. We keep on learning. We keep learning. We keep on learning. It's the way of the world. Hopefully it'll change.
Hopefully, it will change. How's that?
Yeah.
As we work down through one session here with Erica and Jim. Time for us to take a break, pay a couple more bills. When we come back, we'll finalize our interview and also get another song or two before we let them go back to sitting by the lake. You got the cue, 96.5 FM. Back here at final segment on the Q today, Off the Rails Friday, and I've got Jim and Erica with me right now. And guys, first of all, wonderful. Thank you for having me here, and thank you for entertaining us all today. You guys are wonderful together.
Thank you for putting up with us. Yes.
No, it is phenomenal. Erica, give me a little more background on you, because you kind of downplayed this whole thing, that you sung here and you didn't do that and you didn't do this and that. And then you handed me a CD a minute ago. How did that happen, and when did that happen?
Well, that actually came about. I had sung around this area for about 3 years, and then I didn't sing for quite a little while, and I lost my mother suddenly and tragically, and it took me a while to find my voice again. And I've always been a lover of Gershwin tunes and really old, good, classic, timeless stuff. And so when I started to find my voice again, I thought if something happened to me and I was gone, I would want people to have a core of who I am and what I love. And so I started researching some songs and found a studio, and I went down and I recorded that about 11 years ago, I would say. And that was the last I had really done any music until I sang at church a few times, and then I met Jim, and I really didn't know how to do anything with percussion. The very first gig that I had with him, I met his brother, Bob, who plays the congas and drums, and he's just great. And he handed me a tambourine, and he said, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I said, wait, when was what? And
True.
So it is true. And so I didn't know how to do harmony or do percussion or anything. So between Bob and Jim, they've been very gracious in helping me understand timing, which I still don't count because I go by feeling, and
Right, because it's mathematics.
it's because it's math. But so this has all been just kind of building on, rather than just to sing harmony. I started out real slow with him as far as having a couple of lead songs and trying to blend sound, and then trying to add a tambourine or a shaker, and then bought this cajon back in December,
Yep.
I think. And
Yep.
so
Percussion was an
It's-
important part of her blending in, because as a singer, sometimes anybody can testify to this, that if you're a singer and you're not a player, sometimes you feel like you're not a musician.
it's not enough.
But your voice is actually your instrument, and I've tried to encourage that. But I do like the fact that you've incorporated percussion,
Yeah.
which is my
That's
favorite
fun.
thing.
Yeah, it's amazing. Where do you guys go from here? What's the goal down the road? Are there lofty ideas? Do you want to go back to Austin? Do you want to travel outside of the area? Or are you happy being right here? And
You know, that's a question I don't know if I can answer truly. Of course, I want to go back to Austin to visit. From what I understand and what I've experienced, every time you go back, it's just not always the same
Sure.
as what you remember. So I'm happy with where I'm at. We joke about this. I've joked about it with her. I said, if I was going to go somewhere, it would have been when I was in my 20s. If I was successful and that was going to be what I wanted to be, a rock star of some sort or a musician that was self-supporting. Well, I've felt very blessed and fortunate that I can do what I do, that I can live where I live, and I think I'm happy with where I'm at. Yeah,
Yeah.
I want to go visit, but I'm here. This is my home.
So you'll be doing 150 or so shows a year all around our backyard for the.
Yes, as long as the people will have me or have us in any. Yes, we'll play as many as we can. But I will say, I don't know if we want to speak about ages, but I'm getting to the point where 150 might be a lot.
That's a lot for somebody that's 35, Jim. How's
Yes,
that? Trust
yes.
me. I don't think age has anything to do with that many gigs on a regular basis. Now you've done some CDs, Jim. Tell me a little bit about the CD that you gave me, and you've done more than just the one.
Well, I'm working on another one, but I recorded lots of times with other musicians, and I really don't have other than some vinyl and some CDs and cassettes and reel-to-reel tapes, because that's how we used to record. When I had my CD, it was like, I think 2013 was when I first accomplished that. Put together those songs throughout my life, and then finally compiled them, and met a guy that was willing to record them. And that would have been Josh Ayers, and he's got a lot of credit on that CD. He was a bass player, a singer, a guitar player. He's an all-around great musician. And so he was instrumental in getting me to put these songs on a CD. So I really want to do another CD with some of the new songs that you heard tonight. So that's coming out. I will accomplish that.
If somebody wants to find a CD, find a Facebook page, any kind of social media, because that's the rage nowadays.
Yes.
How do they find Jim and Erica?
You can use my website, which is jimweberacoustic.com. All one word, jimweberacoustic.com. And it'll have our dates. It'll have some photos and some things. And if you want the CD, your CD is available.
You'd probably have to contact me. I don't really promote it that
Sure.
well. So.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can always contact us, and the numbers are on there, actually, our phone numbers. And it's my CD you can get off the internet. You can go to iTunes, you can go to CD Baby, you can go to Google Play, you can order it. Yay, please do.
Yes.
You
Yes.
can order it by the song or by the CD. So
It's amazing, isn't it, Tom?
Yeah.
Where we have come from since you and I really got started at that point.
yes, yeah, records, they're coming back, though.
Records are definitely coming back. I can remember when I started in the radio business back in the late 70s, mid to late 70s, you had a turntable on both sides, you had a reel-to-reel deck, and a whole stack of cart machines in front of you. And
Yes.
you went at it for a day. Nowadays it's all on a computer, and the computer and I fight all the time.
Oh.
It's an amazing thing. The computer wants to talk, I want to talk. I want to talk, the computer wants to talk. We fight all the time.
Oh, man.
So we keep score on a regular basis, and I lose most of the time. How's that?
Yeah, that's great. That's a great analogy.
Hey, I have enjoyed this so much, and you've done such a wonderful job. And anytime you do as good of a job as what you have, there has to be an encore. Okay?
Oh, wow, thank
All
you.
right. So I am standing up. Imagine me standing up with my lighter in my hand. Okay. And I'm asking for one more song to get us off the air here today.
I would love to do that, and Erica would love to do that. As a matter of fact, this is one of the songs that I think I was taken aback with, because this is an old song. This is 1966, I believe, 1967. And she brought it to the table. And I thought, how do you know this song? So let's see if we can get it. Are you ready?
When the truth is found to be lies, all the joy within you dies. Don't you want somebody want somebody to love? Don't you need somebody to love? Wouldn't you love somebody to love? You better find somebody to love. Don't you want somebody to love? Don't you need somebody to love? Wouldn't you love somebody to love? You better find somebody to love.
Yeah, wonderful. Jim Weber
you.
and Erica Schwarz, also known as Erica Lee. Now, there's nobody looking for you under your normal name that they had to change the name to Lee for.
Like
at all,
Warren.
Erica?
No, we're all good. Yep.
Well, I was just
AKA
asking
Erica Lee.
for Courtney's sake, so if we needed to cut it out of the broadcast,
right.
we would.
Yeah, no, my stage name is Erica Lee. My married name is Erica Schwartz.
You guys are
Shortened it.
wonderful,
Thank
and
you
you
so
sound
much.
wonderful together. And I am very lucky to have had the opportunity to come over and sit
We
down
are
with you guys
blessed
today.
to have you here. Thank you so much.
With that, we'll head back to more classic hits on the Q 96.5 FM.